Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, back with another STAMPtember limited edition exclusive collaboration set. This is with PinkFresh Studio, and this is the Just Start stamp set. There's some really good, encouraging sentiments in here. I was like, I really love them, and I didn't end up using them. Go figure. But there's some really good ones. And I wanted to focus, of course, on the florals because, you know, I love me some florals, especially large florals. So I am stamping these onto Strathmore watercolor paper. I stamped them with white pigment ink just because the white pigment ink was sitting there. Either or, this or clear embossing ink. I kind of jump between the two frequently. So I stamped them a couple times just to make sure I got, all the detail. And then I coated them with Simon's white embossing powder, melted that with my heat tool. So then it basically becomes nothing on nothing. It helps to have, if you're doing something like this and you struggle to see it, because sometimes I do too, have a light set up and just fiddle with the light until you can get it and it'll, reflect. You can kind of see the reflection there, so that you can actually see the outline. That's literally what I do, or I'll tilt it up in the light and those sorts of things. So for my coloring, what else would I use? Is the Karin Brushmarker Pros. I'm obsessed. Again, I've been getting a lot of questions about the Tim Holtz new Distress watercolor pencils. I will be using them when I get them. Being in Canada, things take a little longer to get to me. When they get here, I'll be doing videos and I'm sure I'm gonna love them. So until that day happens though, and I get them, I'm gonna continue with my current obsession with these Brushmarker Pros, and I'm loving them. And like I've been saying in recent videos, if you can scribble, you can color with these. The biggest thing is just getting the paper to marker or paper to coloring medium, regardless of what coloring medium you're using. Getting that right combo, because not all papers are the same. Not all ink products or coloring products are the same. So getting that combo that just works, makes a huge difference. So with these markers, I find the Strathmore watercolor paper works just the absolute best. Like the colors just move. Like I am scribbling the markers on, it looks like an absolute hot mess. And then I just pull out the color with my water brush and then it's beautiful. So I did go back with all of these florals. I just used a pink one and a yellow marker. That's it. Let them do their thing when I added the water with my water brush, so they mix and they create, peachy tones and orange tones and all the things. And then I would go back with the pink marker and just add a little bit, not a whole lot, but it was more just to kind of intensify and bring back those pink tones because they were just beautiful. And then for the leaves, again, mixing a couple colors, I used like a turquoise and a green. And this actual specific Karin marker colors, I did take a picture of and I put it on my blog post. But again, turquoise and green, it just works. Same thing, scribble them on, move the color around with my water brush, go on to the next thing. That's why I heat emboss, because it just makes my life easier. Otherwise you need to let one area dry before you paint next to it, etc., which is fine. I am just a very impatient person, and especially this month when I am pumping out videos like I'm my own little factory here. my own little one-man show. Anyway, I did purple for the berries just because that's what felt right to me. And I wasn't intending for this to be like a rainbow color card. I was just going for bright, and then it became rainbow, and I'm totally happy with that. So I wanted to do some stenciling. So I pulled out my little Brutus Monroe stick and stamp mat. I've shown this in other videos. It's been a while since I've used mine, and I have extras of them. I was moving things around and I misplaced them and I couldn't find it for the longest time. But pulled that out. And then more recently, I got the little blending buddy, also by Brutus Monroe, that goes with this stick and stamp mat. So it basically creates a holder for a stencil, and it also covers any of the extra exposed sticky areas. So if you're using an A2 piece of cardstock, like I did, I put that in the center there. And then the little notches in the blending buddy are holding my stencil, and the stencil is the dots on dots stencil from Simon. And yeah, I'm kind of liking this. Now that I've found it again, I can start using it. So I like the blending buddy though, because the base of it, it's covering up the, sticky areas. It's like a temporary adhesive that lasts. Like you can clean it off. It's fine. Like I've practically worn out one of these already and it lasts, like it really lasts, but I don't like touching that sticky bit. So having this little blending buddy, like, covering up the exposed sticky areas, I was like, yes. And then when I took my stencil off, I'm like, this is perfect because, it's holding my cardstock and then I can keep doing my blending. So over that dots on dots stencil, I blended this rainbow of inks. These are Simon's Positively Saturated inks. And then I removed the stencil and I blended the same colors over this to soften it. This was very like Nina Marie Trapani inspired. She also designs for Simon Says Stamp, and her cards are just super, super bright and cheerful. And I always, when I see one of her cards pop up, I'm like, yes, love. I love her use of color. So I'm sure I was channeling her when I was making this. So after I was done my blending, with that blending buddy, the center portion also comes with it. And I don't know if this is exactly what it was meant for, but I was like, ooh, if I put that in there, it covers the stick. And then I can just wipe off the ink. And then I can just store it like this. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, mind blown. Love it. So thought I would show that in this video. So anywho, with that background, I trimmed it down a little bit. So it'll be slightly smaller than an A2 card front. I think I trimmed down to like 4 by 5¼ inches, something like that. And then my florals, I had cut them out. And I'm going to pop them onto this background with a combo of Big Mama foam tape and some thin foam squares. And once I get these in place, of course, I'm going to add a bunch of splatter. It's not necessary. You don't have to splatter, but splatter is like how Laura Basson's always like Dimension is Life, which again, I'm not going to sing, especially when it's like super late when I'm doing this voiceover. But yeah, Dimension is life, but also splatter is life. Yeah. Anyway. I'm going to do Perfect Pearl Splatter first, again, of course. Yeah. Put the Perfect Pearl powder onto my palette, added water, like a broken record, but again, not everyone watches all my videos. Perfect Pearl powder from Ranger does have a binder in it, so when you add water to it and splatter it, paint with it, whatever you want to do with it, it adheres to cardstock. It is not going to smear off. It does not wipe off. Again, do not lick your artwork. Just don't. And the same, or rub your hands all over it. You just don't. Like, I don't understand that concept. Like, I guess if you really want to, like lick your cards, I just don't recommend it. Anyway, the Perfect Pearl powder doesn't go anywhere after you've added water to it. It splatters and you can paint with it and do all the fun things, and it ain't going anywhere. So I added that splatter, and then I also added white gouache splatter, which softens as it dries because it kind of absorbs the color of the water reactive inks and markers and all the things, which is great. So I'd set that background aside to dry. I repositioned my stamps in my MISTI with my card base. This will be a top folding A2 card, so 5.25 inches by 4.25. And I inked up those stamps with those same inks I used for blending, and I'll have links to the specific colors that I used. So starting with yellow, it was the same as with the blending. I always start with yellow. It's just habit, and also yellow is the one that can most easily get contaminated, the ink pad, the brush, etc., because it's yellow. So I always start with yellow, just cause. That's my thought process anyway. So I just use the edges of the ink pads to ink up with all those colors, just to, tie in the rainbow theme that I ended up creating for this. And then for my sentiment on the inside, I'm using sentiments from the extra Talkative stamp set. Like I said, I love the sentiments in this exclusive with PinkFresh. I just didn't use them. I don't know. So I stamped a sentiment on the inside from the extra Talkative set, and then I'd also white heat embossed a sentiment from the same set and die cut it with the coordinating wafer die. And I did that on black cardstock on purpose. I wanted it to like just pop on this card. I just love that sentiment, and I thought it would just, yeah, if I wanted it to be a little softer, I would have done, you know, like Simon's Audrey blue cardstock would have looked really nice, you know, something a little softer, but I wanted it to just like, wow, like there it is. I am sending you happy thoughts. Like, accept them. Anywho, I added some bling. I think the bling I used is no longer available, or at least I can't find a link for it, so I'll link to something similar. I just added some shimmery bling. And then I paired this with one of Simon's dandelion envelopes and tilted this in the light so you can see that shimmer. Love. And like I said at the beginning, this PinkFresh set is limited edition, one and done. When it sells out, it will not be restocked. I will have links to that. Everything else I used is not limited edition. So I will have a supply list. I'll have links to everything I used in the description box below the video, as well as on my blog. My blog's always the first link directly below for you guys to check out. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for leaving a thumbs up and a comment. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd very much appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.